Did you know your dog can sense things you can't? My service dog literally saved my life, and I never saw it coming. Hey, it's Sarah here. Today I'm sharing something that still gives me chills when I think about it. If you've ever wondered whether service dogs are worth the investment, or if they really can detect danger before it happens, this story will leave you with zero doubts. 4 months ago, my service dog Luna did something completely out of character that ended up saving not just my life, but potentially dozens of others too. Let me take you back to that day. It was a Tuesday morning, nothing special about it. The sky was that perfect shade of blue that makes you feel like nothing could possibly go wrong. I had Luna with me, of course. She's my medical alert service dog, a beautiful golden retriever who's been by my side for 3 years now. For those who don't know, I have a condition called hypoglycemia, which means my blood sugar can drop dangerously low without warning. Luna is trained to detect those drops before I even notice symptoms. But that's not what happened this time. We were at the mall, the big one downtown with the food court that has those amazing pretzels. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? Luna was wearing her service vest, perfectly behaved as always. Service dogs are trained to be practically invisible in public unless they're actively performing their duties. They don't get distracted, they don't bark at other dogs, they're the picture of canine professionalism. That's why what happened next was so shocking. We were walking past the main entrance, that big glass doorway with the rotating doors on either side. There were maybe 30 or 40 people around us, going about their shopping, no one paying attention to anyone else. Just a normal Tuesday at the mall. Suddenly, Luna stopped dead in her tracks. If you've ever seen a dog go on point, it was exactly like that. Her entire body went rigid, her ears perked up, and her attention locked onto something I couldn't see. I tugged gently on her leash. "Luna, come on," I said. Nothing, she wouldn't budge. Then she did something she has never done in public. She barked. Not just a little woof, either. This was a full-on, attention-demanding bark that echoed through the entrance area. People started looking at us. I felt my face flush with embarrassment. Your service dog barking in public is like your phone going off in a movie theater, except worse because everyone assumes you've trained your dog better than that. "Luna, quiet," I whispered, mortified. "What's wrong with you?" But she didn't stop. Instead, she started pulling me hard away from the entrance and toward the center of the mall. She was practically dragging me, which is absolutely not how service dogs are supposed to behave. I was confused and honestly a little annoyed. Was she sick? Had she somehow forgotten all her training? I couldn't figure it out. Then Luna did something even more bizarre. She planted herself in front of a mall security guard who was standing near a directory map and barked directly at him. The guard looked at me with raised eyebrows. "Ma'am, is your dog okay?" "I'm so sorry," I said, trying to pull Luna away. "She's never done anything like this before." But Luna wasn't having it. She kept barking at the guard, then looking back toward the entrance, then barking again. It was like she was trying to tell him something. The guard, whose name was Mike, I'll never forget him, did something I'll be grateful for forever. Instead of dismissing Luna as a poorly trained dog, he decided to take her seriously. "Wait," he said, holding up his hand. "Let me call this in." He radioed his supervisor while Luna continued trying to drag me back toward the entrance. By this point, I was completely baffled but also starting to get worried. Luna wasn't acting like herself, and that could only mean something was wrong. Mike's supervisor arrived a minute later. By now, Luna was whining and pacing back and forth between me and the entrance. "What's going on?" the supervisor asked. Mike shrugged. "The dog seems upset about something near the east entrance. Could be nothing, but—" "Better check it out," the supervisor finished. He radioed for another guard to come watch his post, and then the three of us, Mike, the supervisor, and me with Luna practically pulling my arm out of its socket, headed back toward the entrance. As we got closer, Luna's behavior became even more frantic. She was whining continuously now, her body tense with what I can only describe as urgency. The supervisor stopped about 20 feet from the entrance. "I don't see anything unusual," he said, scanning the area. That's when Luna broke free from my grip. Before I could catch her, she sprinted toward a large planter near the entrance, one of those decorative ones with a small tree growing in it. "Luna," I called after her, mortified that my service dog was now running loose in the mall. But Luna stopped at the planter and began barking and pawing at it frantically. People were definitely staring now, giving us a wide berth as they passed. Mike and the supervisor exchanged glances, then approached the planter cautiously. Luna backed up, still barking, as Mike leaned over to look inside. His face changed instantly. All the skepticism vanished, replaced by alarm. "Call the police," he said to his supervisor, his voice deadly serious. Right now. What is it? I asked, my heart pounding. Mike straightened up, already pulling his radio from his belt. There's a backpack hidden in there, with wires coming out of it. The next few minutes were a blur. The supervisor was already on his radio, calling not just the police, but ordering an immediate evacuation of the east wing of the mall. Mike grabbed my arm and Luna's leash and started hustling us away from the entrance. We need to move, he said grimly. Now. Around us, other security guards had appeared and were calmly but firmly directing shoppers toward the exits on the opposite end of the mall. Announcements began playing over the PA system, instructing everyone to leave the building immediately. I was in shock, moving on autopilot as Mike led us to a service corridor and then out through a back exit. The whole time, Luna stayed pressed against my leg, no longer barking but still alert, her eyes scanning constantly. Outside in the parking lot, chaos was organized. Police cars were already arriving, their lights flashing. Mall security had established a perimeter, keeping everyone at least 100 yards from the building. EMTs were standing by, though thankfully they weren't needed. Mike stayed with us, making sure we got far enough away to be safe. Once we were behind the police line, he turned to me, his face serious. Your dog just saved a lot of lives, he said, including yours and mine. It took a moment for his words to sink in. But how did she know? I asked, looking down at Luna, who had finally settled but was still watching the mall entrance intently. She's trained to alert for my blood sugar, not bombs. Mike shook his head. Dogs have about 300 million scent receptors in their noses. We have maybe 5 million. They can smell things we can't even imagine. I knelt down next to Luna, who finally turned her attention to me, licking my face as if to say, see, I was trying to tell you. Over the next hour, things moved quickly. The bomb squad arrived. The mall was fully evacuated. Police detectives came to talk to me, asking about exactly what had happened, how Luna had behaved, and whether I'd noticed anyone suspicious near the planter. I told them everything, still trying to process it myself. One of the detectives, a woman named Detective Chen, took special interest in Luna. Has she had any explosives training at all? She asked, reaching down to let Luna sniff her hand. I shook my head. No, just medical alert training. She can detect when my blood sugar is about to drop and warn me before I feel symptoms. Detective Chen nodded thoughtfully. So she's already trained to detect subtle scent changes. That's probably why she was able to pick up on this. Later that afternoon, after we'd given our statements and were preparing to leave, a police officer approached us with news. The suspicious package has been safely removed, he said. The bomb squad confirmed it was an improvised explosive device, rigged to detonate remotely. Based on where it was placed and the materials used, it could have caused significant casualties and structural damage. A chill ran down my spine. Do you know who placed it there? The officer shook his head. The investigation is ongoing. We're reviewing security footage now. I looked down at Luna, who was sitting calmly at my feet, completely unaware that she had just become a hero. I reached down to scratch behind her ears, my hand trembling slightly. Good girl, I whispered. The best girl. In the days that followed, things got a little crazy. Local news picked up the story. Service dog thwarts mall bombing. And suddenly Luna and I were minor celebrities. We did a few interviews, mainly because I wanted people to understand just how incredible service dogs can be. She wasn't even trained for this, I explained to a reporter from the local news station. She's supposed to alert me when my blood sugar drops, not detect explosives. But something about that backpack set off her internal alarm, and she refused to ignore it. The reporter smiled, scratching Luna under the chin. Seems like she takes her job of keeping you safe very seriously. She just expanded the definition a bit. A week after the incident, the police made an arrest. I can't share too many details because the case is still working its way through the courts, but what I can tell you is that it wasn't a terrorist attack. It was a disgruntled ex-employee of one of the stores in the mall, seeking revenge for being fired. He had confessed everything once confronted with the evidence. Detective Chen called to let me know. Without your dog, she said, we might be investigating mass casualties instead of making an arrest. We've been discussing adding more K-9 units to our department after seeing what Luna was able to do without specific training. But the real changes happened in my relationship with Luna. I'd always appreciated her, of course. She'd kept me out of the hospital countless times by alerting me to blood sugar drops before they became dangerous. But I had somehow started taking her abilities for granted. After the mall incident, I began paying closer attention to her behavior, noticing the subtle ways she communicates. And I realized something incredible. Luna had actually been trying to tell me things all along that I had been missing. Like the time she kept nosing at my neighbor's door when we passed it on our daily walk. I'd always pulled her away, assuming she was being nosy or smelled their cat. 3 days after the mall incident, that same neighbor collapsed from carbon monoxide poisoning. Firefighters later determined there had been a slow leak for weeks. Had I listened to Luna sooner, maybe my neighbor wouldn't have ended up in the hospital. Or the time Luna kept whining at a woman sitting alone on a park bench, breaking her training again to try to get to her. I'd been embarrassed and apologized profusely as I dragged Luna away. Now I wonder if that woman needed medical help that Luna sensed. Service dogs like Luna are trained for specific tasks, but their abilities go far beyond what we train them to do. Their senses are extraordinarily more acute than ours, and they can detect things we'll never be able to, from the slight scent changes that indicate a drop in blood sugar to the chemical compounds in explosive materials. But perhaps most importantly, they have an innate desire to protect the humans they bond with. Luna wasn't just doing her job that day at the mall, she was protecting me, and by extension, everyone around us. Since that day, the mall has changed its security protocols. They now have 2 security K9 units that patrol regularly. Mike got a promotion to head of security, partly because he took Luna seriously when many would have dismissed her behavior. As for Luna and me, well, we became minor celebrities in our community. The mayor presented Luna with a special K9 Citizen Hero medal at a city council meeting. Luna was completely unimpressed by the medal, but very interested in the treats the mayor had in his pocket. The local pet store gives Luna free premium treats whenever we stop by. Children ask to pet her, though I still have to explain that when she's wearing her vest, she's working and can't be distracted. But I do let them pet her more often now when we're at the park and her vest is off. But the biggest change has been in me. I've developed a deeper respect for Luna's instincts. If she acts strangely now, I pay attention. I ask what she's trying to tell me instead of assuming she's misbehaving. Last month, she started acting anxious around our refrigerator, pacing in front of it, whining softly. Instead of correcting her, I called a repair person. Turns out there was a gas leak in the cooling system, not immediately dangerous, but it could have become a serious problem if left unaddressed. 2 weeks ago, she kept nudging my phone when I left it on the coffee table. When I picked it up, there was a missed call from my doctor's office. They had been trying to reach me about an abnormal test result that needed immediate follow-up. Nothing life-threatening, thankfully, but important nonetheless. Service dogs are remarkable animals. They undergo months or even years of intensive training to perform specific tasks for people with disabilities. Luna's primary job is to alert me before my blood sugar drops dangerously low, giving me time to eat something or take medication to prevent a crisis. But what I've learned since the mall incident is that her abilities far exceed her training. Her extraordinary senses, combined with her bond with me, make her capable of recognizing dangers I would never perceive on my own. Scientists have been studying dogs' ability to detect things like cancer, seizures, and even COVID-19 long before symptoms appear. They can smell the subtle chemical changes that occur in our bodies. Some research suggests they may even be able to sense electromagnetic field changes that happen before earthquakes or other natural disasters. But until you experience it firsthand, until your dog refuses to let you enter a building that turns out to have a bomb in it, it's hard to fully appreciate just how remarkable these abilities are. I've had people ask me if I was scared during the mall incident. The truth is, I wasn't, at least not until afterward, when I understood what could have happened. In the moment, I was just confused and a little embarrassed by Luna's behavior. But Luna knew. She sensed the danger and did everything in her power to communicate it to me and to get help. She broke her training, barking in public, pulling on her leash, approaching strangers, because the situation demanded it. That's another thing I've learned about service dogs. They're trained to follow rules, but the good ones know when to break those rules. Luna made the judgment call that alerting me and others to the bomb was more important than maintaining perfect service dog etiquette, and she was right. Since the mall incident, I've connected with other service dog handlers who have similar stories. One woman's diabetes alert dog started alerting her roommate instead of her. Turns out the roommate had undiagnosed diabetes and was having dangerous blood sugar fluctuations. Another handler told me how his mobility service dog refused to enter a building one day, planting his feet and refusing to move forward. The handler trusted the dog and turned around. Later that day, the building's balcony collapsed, injuring several people who had been standing on it. These aren't coincidences or dogs being randomly stubborn. These are trained service animals using their extraordinary senses to protect the humans they love. I've also learned that this deep connection between humans and dogs goes back tens of thousands of years. Dogs were the first animals humans domesticated, and that partnership has evolved into something remarkable. They've gone from being hunting companions and guards to being able to detect medical emergencies, guide people through busy streets, provide deep pressure therapy for anxiety, and even detect bombs in shopping malls. There's something both humbling and awe-inspiring about sharing your life with a creature whose senses are so much more acute than your own. Luna experiences the world in ways I can barely comprehend, through scents and sounds that are completely imperceptible to me. And yet, she chooses to use those extraordinary abilities to watch over me, to keep me safe, to alert me when my blood sugar drops, yes, but also to warn me about the unexpected dangers she senses around us. The mall incident changed how I see Luna. She went from being my medical alert service dog to being my guardian, my early warning system for all kinds of danger. I trust her instincts implicitly now. If she says something isn't right, I believe her, even if I can't perceive what she's sensing. It's changed how I see all service dogs, really. Behind those calm, professional exteriors are superheroes with senses and abilities far beyond what we train them to do. They're not just following commands. They're actively looking out for their humans, making decisions, and sometimes breaking the rules when necessary to keep us safe. So the next time you see a service dog in public, remember that you're not just looking at a well-trained animal. You're looking at a creature with extraordinary abilities and an unwavering commitment to protecting their human. They deserve our respect not just for the tasks they're trained to perform, but for all the dangers they detect that we never even know about. As for Luna and me, life has mostly returned to normal. We still go to the mall sometimes, though we use a different entrance now. The memories of that day are too vivid for both of us, I think. Luna still alerts me to blood sugar drops with perfect accuracy. She still maintains her professional service dog demeanor in public, most of the time. But occasionally, she'll notice something I don't, and she'll give me that look. That intense, focused gaze that says, "Pay attention, something isn't right." And when she does, I listen, every single time. Because I know now what she's capable of perceiving. I know that when Luna tries to tell me something, it's always important. So if you ever see a service dog acting unusual, if they seem distressed or are trying to get their handler's attention, don't just walk by. Their handler might not realize what the dog is trying to tell them. You might just witness another service dog going above and beyond their training to save lives. Luna is sleeping at my feet as I record this, her chest rising and falling peacefully. To look at her, you'd never know she prevented what could have been a tragedy. She doesn't care about being a hero. She was just doing what comes naturally to her, protecting her person. And that, I think, is what makes dogs so extraordinary. They don't do these amazing things for recognition or rewards. They do them out of love. Pure, simple, unwavering love. If this story touched you, make sure to hit subscribe to hear more incredible service dog stories.